Winning formula time on Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios. Your regulars, Wabi and Ron Johnson from Vikings Game Day Live are here. We're happy to have Cy Amundsen. He's a Minnesotan, he's a comedian, and he also does work with ESPN's Snapchat. What do you do?
I'm lucky enough to host SportsCenter for them, which means I do a 7-minute version of SportsCenter, and then I have kids snap me messages about how they hate me for having a take on their team. So
But you're also a big Vikings fan, right?
Die hard, yeah. We got to do SportsCenter from here last week, and it was kind of a dream come true, yeah.
Yep, and for Cy, he watches all the games, follows it really closely, so we begin with this. On a team where they talk about Adam Thielen, a lot of offensive components a lot, is this guy, Daniil Hunter, in any way getting shortchanged?
I mean, it's crazy to say, but I don't want to be dramatic and have people go at me on the internet, but I think he's the future. Not just of this defense, but of the position. You remember when Randy came in?
Yeah.
Right? And everybody was like, he's so big, he's so athletic. Every GM was like, well, I need one of those now. I feel like in 2 years, every single, and it's a position that there's such athleticism at, and he stands above it. That's crazy to me. So I think everybody's going to want to do like that. You see him here in the hallways? It's nuts, man.
Right. Yeah, he has 7 sacks, tied for tops in the NFL with J.J. Watt.
I think he gets talked about a lot in other NFL buildings among coaching staffs, but he doesn't get talked about a lot when you watch SportsCenter or NFL Network, and I don't know why that is. He is quiet by nature. Maybe that is it. Maybe it's a slow start for the Vikings on the season. I think he gets talked about a lot by other coaching staffs.
Wabi's point is perfect, dead on. NFL, Network, ESPN, they're not bringing up Daniil Hunter. Honestly, it was a ton of Everson Griffin. He's out. What you're seeing now is Daniil playing where he naturally is probably going to play the rest of his career, which is on that right side as the power DN, because that's where he's more effective, and it's showing. He's able to get on the best tackle, which is normally the blind side tackle, and he has 6 straight games with a sack. I mean, he is on a tear similar to Adam Thielen, and I think both of them, honestly, nationally are just going to start to get the just due that they deserve.
Now, let's go to the offense, and people talk a lot about Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. Shoot, the team just ran for 195 against Arizona. So with all of that in the formula, who would you say is unheralded with this offense? Ron, you first.
I'm going to say DeFilippo because he's come into this offense thinking he was going to have Dalvin Cook. We talked about how dynamic he was, how great this run game could be with this RPO system. He's mid-season had to change completely and say, screw this, throw us out the door, $84 million, you going to win us some games. And that's what we're seeing. Kirk Cousins is taking over games. They have the most passes by any team so far this season, the least number of runs by any team this season. So he's kind of morphed his offense on the go without pieces of his offense that we were thinking he was going to have to start. So you got to give to DeFilippo, and the way he's calling plays, he's getting the mismatches, he's using those corner routes, and he's allowing Kirk Cousins to see coverage and then call the play. So I think you got to give it to him right now.
The return of Pat Elflein is something that maybe has gone a little bit untalked about.
Great point.
A little too much. I think the Vikings offensive line has been a work in progress really since the beginning of training camp, with the unfortunate passing of Tony Sperano. Then Nick Easton gets hurt, and now Riley Reif is injured. Pat Elflein didn't come to the lineup until the season was going. I think the return of Pat Elflein has really helped a lot of things. It's stabilized that group. I think it's helped the running game. So I think Pat Elflein is an unheralded contributor on this offense.
Cy?
Ooh, I'm going to go with David Morgan.
Yeah.
Not just because of that gnarly hair. He looks like a...
Hair's overrated.
His hair's amazing. He looks like he should be selling his van in a grocery store parking lot.
And by the way, great block on the Latavius Murray touchdown against Arizona.
And that's what I'm saying.
Boom.
When you have an offensive line that's struggling to come together, you need a good blocking tight end. That's where he makes his money. Part of this is a predictive pick for me because I think where you get your money against the Jets is on the outside in terms of rushing, so you need a tight end to do that. I think he's going to have a big week. But also, this is my favorite David Morgan stat. Last year in the division, all 4 teams in division play, the #1 graded player in the whole NFC North on offense was David Morgan.
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers is #2, long-haired Morgan #1.
Whoa.
Love
Yeah.
I'm quickly going to add Kyle Rudolph, and simply because into the Arizona game, Kyle had 23 receptions, most he had through 5 games in his career, and he's been targeted 27 times, 23 catches. 0 drops. Now, targeted 27, 23 catches. There were some misfires in there. Big boy with no drops, complementing the running game, along with Thielen and Diggs incredibly well. So let's not shortchange that veteran, Kyle Rudolph. He's important.
Yeah, he has. And a big knock on Kyle in the past has been the inability to gain yards after contact and not break tackles. And I do believe close to half of his yards are yards after the catch and after contact. So that's been a big welcome improvement in his game.
Okay, our guy Cy Amundsen, Minnesotan, is ESPN Sports Center Snapchat guy, but he's also a comedian by trade. So we're going to ask Cy this. Of everybody on the Minnesota Vikings team, which player do you think would be the best stand-up comedian?
I mean, I've got a couple answers. I think the easy one is Diggs, because he's just overflowing with personality at all times. And you like a comedian that you never know if they're going to say something dangerous.
Yeah, like you right now on Vikings Game Plan.
He has that vibe. I will say, though, I mean, if you can be funny in a Geico commercial without speaking, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
But here's my sneaky one. I don't know if you guys know this. Tom Compton, offensive lineman, was in the movie Sharknado 3.
Wow.
Yeah. He's in so if you have the sense of humor to be in Sharknado 3, you're probably good at stand-up. The one I want to see do stand-up, Zimmer. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right.
I feel like he'd be an older, angrier, like Triumph, the roast dog. Like, oh my gosh, if you could, he's got some Rodney Dangerfield in him somewhere. So that would be my home run.
You guys have takes?
I like that. I'd say Zimmer. That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. But I think people would be so scared they would laugh.
Yeah,
they'd be
fear
scared
laughter.
that like they have to laugh, especially like he did comedy in front of his own team. Like they all would laugh, whether it was a terrible joke or not.
Yeah.
But I like Kirk Cousins. I mean, the guy to not come up with it, but do the dead arm, and then to do the Stephon Diggs at the end. I feel like he has that like Doogie Howser kind of weird vibe comedy that's like dry. You know, but you're gonna laugh because like all his jokes be written down on a cue card and he just read them and then like wait for you to laugh.
The Doogie Howser of comedy is the worst compliment I've ever heard in my life.
Yes, we have ripping on Vikings Game Plan. Quickly, you.
Well, I think it'd be the general manager. You have to laugh at his jokes. It's like the head coach.
Oh yeah,
I'm going with Rick Spielman.
And I'm going to go with Linval Joseph because with that size, if he cracks a joke and you don't laugh and he eats you, it's all over.
That's no joke.
Cy Amundsen, ESPN Snapchat for SportsCenter, Wabi, Vikings.com, Ron Johnson, Vikings Game Day Live on Fox 9, and I'm Paul Allen. For the Vikings Entertainment Network, that's Vikings Game Plan. Thanks for watching.